Chris Richter. I am based in Oakland, California, and I am the Senior Director of the Innovation and Technology Lab at Human Rights First. And we are sort of a non-traditional team at a human rights organization. We have a team of engineers and product designers and UX designers, and we partner deeply with immigration advocates, attorneys, and impacted community members to design tools like Ready Now. And I have to apologize. We got a little mixed up about whether Deanna was supposed to join today or tomorrow. I've just sent her a message, so she may be able to jump on. But Deanna Diaz Madera was a co-designer of ours on the Ready Now app from Corazon Norte, which is a mental health provider specializing in immigrant related mental health care and of their advocates. So we worked together on ensuring that this app was trauma informed. We also worked with cybersecurity experts, attorneys, to ensure that the app was legally sound and, of course, secure. So I'm going to go ahead and also I just wanted to say I'm so honored to be here. I joined a cafecito maybe 3, 4 weeks ago, and I just love Visión y Compromiso, and I love the work you do as promotores. So I'm just very honored and humbled to be here. Okay, so Ready Now is a emergency planning and alert app to help offer a layer of protection with the from the immigration sort of terrorizing campaign that's happening right now. In terms of why we developed Ready Now, I don't need to belabor this point with this group, but we all know just how quickly and violently these detentions happen when they happen, and people don't have the chance to notify loved ones, let alone contact an attorney. So there are emergency kind of paper-based emergency plans that exist that are wonderful resources. But we found that they can tend to be 15, 20-page PDFs with a lot of legal language. They can be complex, right, and difficult to navigate without an attorney. So we wanted to develop an emergency planning resource that was more accessible. We also recognize that just given how quickly these apprehensions happen, we wanted something that could respond in the moment that it's needed. So obviously, a paper-based plan can't, by nature of its format, sort of kick into action. So we wanted to develop this app that could immediately sort of activate an emergency plan when it's needed. And so that's why we developed Ready Now, which is a free, secure app that's available for download now on Apple and Google Play app stores. We're in 9 languages, including Spanish, of course. And the app does 2 key things. Number one, it will walk you through creating a emergency plan, with instructions for emergency childcare, pet care, other dependent care, for legal support, for any medical needs that you may have and need to be advocated for, with other important information that's needed for your legal defense and for helping to find you within the system. So it walks you through creating an emergency plan, and then it will activate that plan if, God forbid, you need it, with the press of this red button, and deploy that plan to the specified emergency contacts. Again, I don't know that I need to belabor this point with this group, but in terms of why this matters, this ensures that God forbid something happens, that there is, well, one, that people in your life know what happened immediately, and that there is a plan in place so that they can respond, that they can care for children, for pets, for elders on your behalf, so that they can find you within the system and advocate for your needs. It's really a harm reduction tool, for the worst day of your life. But it's also, what we've found is that just having a plan in place really offers some peace of mind day to day, knowing that you have a plan in place. Um, so that's that. I will actually jump over now to a demo of the app. This is what we call like yeah, it's a demo. Um, if you were to download the app today, we are constantly improving the app based on, we do these presentations, we get feedback from you, we incorporate that feedback into the app. We're constantly rolling out new languages, squashing bugs. So if you were to download the app, you might see some changes, and I'll point that out, but this will give you a good idea of what to expect. So the first thing when you download Ready Now, you'll see this screen. You can select your language, and that will render the rest of the app in that language. Then you log in with your phone number. We don't store any usernames or passwords or any personal information in the cloud for security reasons. So we take your phone number. You are then given a two-factor authentication code to securely log into the app. I've cut out some sort of informational screens that explain what the app does for this demo because I've already walked through that. But this screen here explains that in the context of Ready Now, your emergency plan is a series of preloaded text messages for your legal support, for your own personal safety, and for dependent care. And those messages only go out if and when you need them to. This also just recommends that you assemble some key documents and put them in a single secure location and include the location of those documents in your emergency plan. We also, this is not required by any means to use the app, but we recommend that you locate your A number if you have one and include it in your emergency plan. We explain what an A number is and how to find it. And now you're into the creation of your emergency plan. And the first question you get is, do you have legal support? If you click yes, you are given a message template for your attorney. If you click no or unknown, these buttons are acting up, but that would be blue. You are given the option to submit some key information that would be sent to NILRA, which is the National Immigrant Legal Responders Alliance. It is a pro bono network of attorneys that is run by Acacia Center for Justice, which is a partner of ours on this app. They have pro bono attorneys in every single state. And so if you don't have an attorney and you fill out this form, this information will be sent to that network. If you are detained and press the Ready Now alert button. This is, by the way, I think it's not guaranteeing being matched with an attorney. If, it's based on sort of like, I just whether they have attorneys available to match you with someone, but if not, they will work to at least get you a legal orientation. So you provide your first name, last name, A number, country of birth. There's also a date of birth now that's required. An emergency contact. Location sharing is just for the moment you were to press that button. We don't track your location throughout the use of this app. We don't want that information. Just at the time, if you were to press that Ready Now alert button, this would send the coordinates at the time of your a supposed detention, so that they could help to match you with an attorney in the appropriate jurisdiction. Once you get through the legal support portion, then you are prompted to create a personal safety message. And here you just click in and edit this template with your personal details. So all of the information that's in brackets here, hello, this is, you would click in here and update this with your name. You would then skip down and update your A number here if you have one, or delete that if you don't. This explains how to the ICE locator. This is a message that's sent out to personal contacts to give them the information they need to find you and advocate for your needs. So it also includes things like critical medications, and the name of a doctor, etc. And then you would, once you're done customizing this personal safety message, then you would assign the contacts that you would like to receive this particular message, if you were to be detained, and press that Ready Now button. Oops. And then once you're finished with that personal safety message, you're also given the option to create additional messages for other topics that are relevant to you. So childcare, elderly or other dependent care, pet care, work absences. We also have a message just for other needs, general needs that may not be specified here. So let's imagine that I have a child. I click here, and then similarly, I'm given a childcare message template. So this explains what we recommend including in a childcare message, but that's also reflected here in this template. And you just would click to update the information in the brackets, in this case about, where to pick up your child's allergies or any other sort of medical needs. And then you would assign the contacts that you would like to provide emergency childcare if something were to happen. You can also add a different message for if you have another child with different instructions. When you press save and continue, there's actually a pop-up that just reminds you to notify your child's school of who you've assigned as the emergency contacts there, so that the school is legally authorized to release the child to that emergency contact. Oh, this is a message for work absence. We can skip that. Let's see if this thing is going to behave for me. The next, I'm not sure if this thing seems to be a little. The internet is slow. So I will maybe just talk through this and hope that it comes back so we can actually see what it looks like to press that button. But after this screen, you are given, let's see if it's going to behave here. Okay. Yay. Okay, we're back on. So then after you create all of your emergency messages, then we ask that you carefully review all of them. In this case, personal safety message, childcare message, making sure that there are no typos in phone numbers or A numbers. We also recommend that you send a copy of your entire emergency plan to a couple key contacts. This is so that, God forbid, you were to be faced with ICE and you did not have time to press that button, at least someone has a complete copy of your emergency plan. So you can press copy plan here, and then we recommend that you send it to a couple key contacts in a secure, like encrypted messenger, like WhatsApp or Signal, even Facebook Messenger. And then lastly, that you give all of the contacts that were included in your emergency plan a heads up. Hey, I've included you as part of my emergency plan. If something happens, you'll get a text message from this number. Save it in your phone. Same thing, you copy this and then you would text everyone that you included in your emergency plan. And then once your emergency plan is saved, this is the screen that you'll see when you open the app from now on. We recommend that you have the app on your home screen so that it's easily accessible. If you want to go in and update or edit your plan, you just have to re-authenticate with your phone number. But this is the default when you open the app from now on. And then if you, God forbid, were to be faced with arrest, you would press and hold this button for 1.5 seconds. It would fill up with a darker red. Then there would be a 3-second countdown. We've reduced that from 5 seconds to 3 seconds. And then your messages would send out. And then your emergency plan will be wiped from your phone. And the reason for this is the assumption is that you have been detained, that your phone has been seized, and we don't want any of this personal information, emergency contact information to be on your stored in your Ready Now app. We do now have a feature that if you, for instance, accidentally pressed the button and it was a false alarm, if you had sent a complete copy of your plan to an emergency contact, you can restore your plan so you don't have to go through the whole process again. That's a new feature that will be rolling out in, I think, the next few days. Okay, I'm going to jump over. I'm almost done here. Thanks for bearing with me. I'm just going to talk quickly about app security. Which is that we obviously take security of this information incredibly seriously. We would not have put this app out at all, if we didn't think we could keep this information secure. So in terms of security features, the emergency plan is stored on your physical device, not in the cloud, until the moment that you press that button. And the reason why we don't store it in the cloud, we only store it here, right? Like this is like your hard drive. We store it here. It's not up there because you're much more sort of vulnerable to hacking when information is stored in the cloud. When the information is stored here on your device, it is also protected from folks that want to hack into your phone. It is encrypted. That means that all the data is scrambled up and can only be unscrambled by your phone. When you press the Ready Now alert button, your messages then go out through via text message, and then your plan is deleted from your phone. And again, that is to protect your emergency plan data from search and seizure. If for some reason you are not able to send your emergency plan out before you are detained, the emergency plan is still protected by your phone's lock screen. We recommend that you use a numeric passcode and not a biometric passcode like a face or a fingerprint. And it is also protected by that phone number login. So someone would need to get your passcode to unlock your phone, get your phone number with your permission, right, and enter that access code to be able to get in. And if for some reason you try to send out the messages in a moment when you don't have service, the messages will just keep trying to send out until service is restored. And I think that's about it. I have a folder with all sorts of flyers in different languages, social media posts, email templates, anything to make it easy to share out this resource with your communities. There's also a website called, which I'll also put in the chat, readynowapp.org. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm ha
Gracias.
I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yes, gracias, Paris. I know there was one question, and Diana already responded to the chat of who created the app. Could you just do a mini reminder on that too for folks?
Absolutely, yep. So the app was developed by Human Rights First, which is a human rights organization that focuses primarily on immigrant rights and has been providing direct legal service and advocacy to immigrant communities in the United States for almost 50 years. It was also developed in partnership with Acacia Center for Justice, which is an organization that works to make legal support broadly accessible to immigrant communities. So that's who we have the partnership with for the pro bono legal referral, and also in partnership with Corazon Norte, which is the immigrant mental health organization that we worked with to ensure, Diana is here, to ensure that the app was trauma informed.
Great. And then we're getting another question too of who monitors the app.
Monitors and oh, okay. So we have a team internally within Human Rights First of myself, and then a few engineers who are um, monitoring the app every day for any sort of security vulnerabilities or for bugs. Um, Technology can get, we've all experienced where like an app isn't working. So we are kind of, we have services that are sort of like doing automated checks and then flagging for us anytime there's any sort of security vulnerability or a bug. And then our team will go in and what we call like squash the bug. Um, so there's that team. And then also on the legal referral side of things, Acacia Center for Justice, there's a team over there that receives the legal referrals, and then they work to take the information that was sent to them to find someone then to locate that person within the system with the information that was sent over, and then work to match them with a legal service provider in that district. I should also mention that that is the only information that we are ever sending to anyone except for your own emergency contacts. And that legal referral information, they hold on to it only for the amount of time that they need to match you to a legal service provider, and then they delete that. Our goal is basically we don't want any of this information longer than we need it to be able to help folks.
Gracias, Paris. Any other questions or comments, colegas? Adelante, Carlo.
Hi there. So this is Carlo Vasquez. I'm here in Stanislaus County, and I have kind of a question about, um, I guess like maybe not a false alarm, but like a. So I'm imagining a situation, right, where someone might send an alert, for example, if like an event is experiencing activity, where they send something out because the whole event is experiencing something. So like they send something out just in case, but then they themselves at the end of the activity end up being fine. Is there some sort of easy way for that person to notify their emergency contacts to be like, "Hey, I'm good. Don't worry about me anymore," or
Yeah,
something
so
like
we
that?
definitely, I mean, accidental we've tried to design against like accidental clicks is
Mhm.
like you had a butt dial, right? Like, and so that's why we have the button is like, oh, you have to press and hold it for 1.5 seconds. And then there's false alarms where you think something is going to happen. And then thank God, it was fine, like you mentioned. So after that count, there's a when you press the button, there's a little countdown, and then there's a pop-up that says, like basically, did you press this button by accident?
Hmm.
If you say I pressed it by accident, you will be given a email address of someone at Acacia to send
Oh,
an email to them so that they don't go running around trying to find folks, and that is a problem. That has happened quite a bit.
mm,
Um, and then also we just have a little note like, hey, text your emergency contacts.
got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great question. Any other questions or comments? I will just say, Paris, when you first shared the app with us, one of the things that I really appreciated is that what it also sends is the pinpoint location just in that moment of where that person is. And that I love that it shares that very strategically. Again, that not it doesn't run all the time. It's just that one time when it is pressed. Because we have had loved ones in many situations where they may be picked up and you don't know where they were. You don't know where they were picked up from. And it's harder to figure out what detention center or what holding center they may have been transferred to. So I thought that that was a great component of this app, that it shares that one time location of where that person may be, not just so that you all can kind of figure out where they may have been taken to, but then also to match with attorneys or representatives that work in that area. So that was, I think, one of the big assets of this app that I really liked, because a lot of folks, it's tough to track down. Okay. With that, if there's not any more questions or comments, I want to direct our attention to the chat too. Paris has put in there the communication materials and flyers. So take a look there for those resources. And then I want to pass it to our colega Diana from Corazon Norte to introduce herself and share more about the amazing work that they offer and resources. We're excited that you all are both here. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you, Maribel, and thank you for having us today. And of course, to everybody in the call that does work with promotoras in the community, thank you for the work that you do. Everything that you do is always important, but extra important right now during this time that ICE raids are happening. So my name is Diana Diaz. I am a clinical social worker. I'm a therapist. I've been in immigration mental health for the last 17 years, and I'm also the founder of Corazon Norte. Just because you probably haven't heard about us, I wanted to just share a little bit about our work. So what we do is mental health services for immigration, immigrant communities, especially asylum seekers, unaccompanied minors, and farm workers. We do that in different ways. We create resources for the community, but we also serve the providers that are serving immigrant communities, because we acknowledge this is a hard work. And I mean hard in heart, the corazon, right? It is, so most of us are in these communities and we're helping, but it's also very personal for us. So we do a lot of workshops for self-preservation, emotional self-preservation for promotoras, social workers, lawyers. So today I'll show you some of the resources for both, for you to be able to share with your community, but also for yourself as well. So like my colleague Paris already explained the Ready Now app. This is some other resources that can help as well, because one of the things about doing family preparedness is that it's so hard for our communities to feel comfortable wanting to do this family preparedness. So I often hear it when I do therapy with clients and they tell me, hey, Diana, like, I don't feel like I want to do a family preparedness plan because that means that I failed. That means that I gave up. So I often, we meet our clients where we are, but we also want to give them some resources. So we created these guides here. Tool number one, it's a guide of how to care for your heart and your children's heart while creating these emergency preparedness plans. And it talks you through everything that, would be in the app as well, like what is some of their medical conditions? Where would you pick them up from school? Who is their favorite teacher? But also goes a little bit more in depth. And you can find them in our website. They're free to download and they're in Spanish and in English. But it talks about other things like what are some important things that brings calm and care to your children? As a provider in this area, I have supported multiple families through detentions and deportations. And one of the things that I often saw was that children couldn't have access after their parents were deported, or they couldn't have access to their apartment, or the things that brought comfort. So here it talks about things like maybe it's a peluchito, a teddy bear that they love. Maybe it's a sweatshirt that the mom gave them. What are some things that you should be prepared to tell whoever is going to take care of your children in case of detention that they should be mindful of? What are other things like allergies that they may have? Do they have a 501, a plan, an IEP, an individual education plan that they should be mindful of, right? Which are things that we often forget to talk about and we don't really share with anybody. But when chaos and crisis happens, it's so important that children have some sort of routine. And if they're already receiving help at the school system with an IEP, it's important that we also list that in our emergency preparedness plans. So that's the tool number one. The second one, I really like this one, and we hold a lot of workshops in which we actually practice with parents that are doing role playing. So this is more of like, here, let's walk you through from beginning to end to how you set the conversation, how you set the tone, give you some props. And the idea is, let me give you some wording because no parent should have to have the words to talk about possible family separation, right? So we walk you through it, and then parents feel more comfortable and they can use their own wording to be able to talk to their kids. But we go through introducing to talking about the preparedness plan, to acknowledging that it's hard, to also modeling that it is a very scary time for the parents. Often parents try to be very strong for the kids, but it's okay to show them and to model that they may be scared, that they may be sad, and they may be also very anxious. So it walks you through all of those. And again, we have them in English and Spanish. We also have tool number 3, which is helpful to try to find somebody that has been detained by ICE, but again, we know that the detainee locator system may take up to 10 days, or more, with more detentions to find, but it's still there. It is a very anxiety inducing if you have never used it to find somebody, because we often have multiple last names. Sometimes they hyphenated, sometimes they use both of our last names, sometimes they use one and not the other, it means the spell. So it causes a lot of anxiety. So it guides you through it in a very trauma-informed way. It's a little bit softer to help you think about what is happening and hopefully be useful when they're trying to find one of their loved ones. Tool number 4, I apologize, I don't have it in English here, I just noticed that, but it's just little cards that you can print out. We work with a lot of promotoras in the Central Valley. We have had them print these out and give out these at remates. There are cards that you can put in the backpack of your kids, especially the little ones that may not have access to a cell phone, may not have access to other information, but if they have it with them, they can ask for help. These ones here, the one in the left, the green one, is responding to fear of ICE with the strength and self-compassion. A lot of the times when we make mistakes, more mistakes is when we're anxious. We're leaving our house, we're already very, very nervous, and we may not make a stop at the stop sign, right? So this is something that you keep with you. A lot of folks that I work with say, Diana, I have it in my car. I pull it out before I leave because it helps me kind of ground myself a little bit. These ones are available for you to print them. They're just business size cards. We have them ready to go. And the one in the right's a little bit like a red card, but not a replacement for them. But they are a little more, if you notice the colors, the wording, is helpful, and it's very like trying to reduce some of the re-traumatization that it causes. And it's helpful also for youth because they can see it. And I don't know about you, but when I see red, sometimes I just get nervous right away because it means danger, right? So we have those also available. Tool number 6, you can just print out. So many of our legal service agencies are so overwhelmed right now with cases and people needing services, so they may not have room to take a case if somebody is detained, and it's very hard to keep track. And I know many of you that are in direct service, I know I have experience. Sometimes we give a resource to a client and then they tell us, yeah, yo llamé, sí llamé, pero no sé con quién hablé. I called, but I don't know who I talked to, no me acuerdo, and then I don't remember what they said. So it's just like a little helper for them to be able to write, okay, today I call, let's say, Chirla. Chirla me contestó Ariana. Ariana answered the call. She told me to call back in a week, that they don't have space right now. So it just helps them keep track of it. And it's something that they can look back and help them organize. Why do we do this? Because in everything that we do, we're trying to reduce some of the anxiety levels that people are having. So any little tool, any little trick that we can use, it's really, really helpful in reducing that anxiety for our families and helping them keep track of the resources that they're trying to access. Tool number 7. This one we created, of course, I always say the caveat with this is that every agency has different protocols of how they respond to ICE, but this one is kind of a very generic that you can adapt, and I share these PDF files. You can change them and adapt them to your agency. But in short, the majority of agencies have a very similar thing, stay calm. And assess the situation, talk with purpose, make sure that they have a warrant, ask for the documentation, notify your leadership, document and protect private information. So this is something, the idea of these tools to be able to print it is about a 4x6 card that can be put in any front desk. You just put it up there. And again, we're trying to reduce anxiety. So for somebody that is sitting at the entrance of a clinic, it may be very anxiety inducing if ICE shows up and you don't know what to do. You may have already gotten training, but at the end of the day, we are humans and our anxiety is going to pop up. So to have something in front of you that is actually a reminder of how to do what you were asked or you were trained to do, is very helpful. I'm going to explain these other ones, but before I go into that last one, I wanted to see if there's any questions that I should answer. Are we good?
We're going to be able to find all those in the website?
I have them some on the website, but we have so many resources that it's really hard to put them up. But what I will do is I will share a sync file. You don't need an account for it. You just log in and all the resources are there uploaded as well. You have about 5 of the resources, but the other ones we create them later on, and we found that it's just so hard to keep uploading more resources in our website, but you'll have access to all of them.
But just know that they're all so good. I use them all.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. The next 2, I wanted, because it's going to start playing the videos right away, so I wanted to explain what they actually are. So one of the things that we found out when we were doing, we were helping with KYRs, not necessarily providing the legal information, but more of like providing this social services piece. So there was legal organizations doing the KYR part, and then we were there to help with the mental health piece, right? What we kept noticing is, well, you probably know, in person, people bring their children, right? And even though the lawyers and the paralegals often say, hey, we're not going to discuss personal immigration cases here, there's always somebody that says, but esto me pasó a mí. And usually it's a very traumatic story that comes out, right? And the children are listening and they're right there hearing and taking everything in. So we created a couple things to help the children to be not necessarily removed, but like in the other side. So usually if there's a church, the parents can continue in the KYR within the same eyesight, so they're not nervous, the parents in a little corner. If you have an extra staff, a volunteer, somebody there, they can run this activity with the children. There's one that is going to be a video that we created within our organization called Give Kids Art. And it's a beautiful activity that helps with self-esteem. It's called the Tree of Pride. And all you need is crayons and a paper, right? So you can have all the kids work on this activity, and it's very much created with a lot of care, but really about combating anti-immigrant rhetoric for kids and helping them with their self-esteem. So it talks about having roots here and having roots anywhere in the world, right? So that's one. And the one that you're going to see next, it's a fortune teller. So you can do a game with it. You print it and you help the kids fold it. And it has things about mental health, but also about know your rights, about listen to your papi and your mommy or your abuelito, whoever it is taking care of you, about your plan. So I'll play them really quick. And little proud moment, the voices that you hear in are my nieces and nephew. My little nephew, he was like, "Tia, I try really hard to read, but sometimes it's hard for me." So you hear him stumble, but that's okay because that's part of, who we're working with.
Sobre sus alas y vuela así, con la M. Mantén la calma. Respira suave y despacito. Con la O, oye, a tu corazón, está bien tener miedo. Es tu corazón protegiéndote. Con la N, no estás solo, siempre hay quien te cuide. Con la A, abrázate fuerte, eres valiente, sí se puede. Con la R, recuerda tus derechos, tú vales mucho. Con la C, cuida tu corazón, está bien sentir miedo, es tu corazón protegido. Con la A, acuerda un plan con tus papis o adultos para estar seguro.
So, and for those that only speak English, I'm sorry, we don't have it in English, but really just talks about make a plan, listen to the plan with your adults. Remember that you're important, that you're strong, that you can do these. Take care of your heart. It's okay to be afraid. So just really modeling again for children that these situations are hard for all of us. I want to be mindful of time, Maribel. Do I have time to play a 3-minute video, or I can send it along as
Deanna,
well?
we will give you all of the time. You are getting lots of love, so you take all the time you need, please.
Okay, great. So I'll play you next. The activity I think is very heartwarming, and you can do it with your own kids. You can do it with clients that you serve. I have done it for myself some days because, to be frankly honest, I'm an immigrant. I arrived to this country at the age of 16 with no family, and I arrived to the Midwest, which was a very hard place. So I experienced a lot of racism, and currently there's a lot of flashbacks that come back. So I actually did it a few times for myself, and it's helpful and it's nice and just a distraction.
Hi, artists. Today we're going to create something really special. My Tree of Pride. This is your chance to imagine yourself as a strong, beautiful tree with roots in the place you call home and branches reaching out to new places. Let's celebrate the things we love about where we come from and share them with the world. But first, let's go over some agreements for the time that we're together so that this is a fun time for all of us. At Give Kids Art, our 4 agreements are the following. Be kind, be curious, be safe, and have fun. When you're doing Give Kids Art activities, there's no right or wrong way to create. We are just here to have fun and to express ourselves freely. Let's get our materials together. First, make sure you have a piece of paper, a pencil, something to color with, and a paper towel or scrap paper. Let's get started on the activity. First, we're going to draw our trees. Take your pencil and lightly draw the outline of your tree. Start with the trunk. Make it as tall or short as you like. Now add branches stretching out to the edges of your paper. You can even add roots to the bottom to show where your tree comes from. Now think of colors that remind you of home. your country, your culture, or the things that you love and are proud to share. These could be the colors of a flag, colors from nature, or even colors that remind you of family traditions, celebrations, or special memories. You'll use these colors to fill in the spaces between your branches, like the leaves of your tree. These colors represent the deep roots you have in your culture, things that make you who you are, the parts of your home that you carry with you. Now, grab your coloring material. Start filling in the spaces between your branches using the colors of your home and culture. Take your time to mix, blend, and make your tree as unique as you are. Next, choose one color that makes you feel strong, proud, and connected. This will be the color for your tree trunk and branches. This color represents how, even as you grow and reach new places, you are always connected to where you came from. Now think about where your tree is growing. Is it in a city, near the ocean, in the mountains? Draw a background to show where your tree is planted and where it is reaching towards. You did it. Your tree of pride is now complete. Look at the colors and the branches. Your roots keep you connected to home, while your branches show how you can grow and reach new places. We'd love to see your artwork. If you have a parent or guardian to share a picture with us, you can send it to us on Instagram or email it to us. Remember, keep creating, keep imagining, and always know that it's okay if it's a little messy. Art is all about having fun.
Okay, so that was it. That's the activity that we have done. And I think, let me just double check. That was the last resource for community for children on that one, but I did wanted to flag one more resource, and this one is more for us as providers. Let's see. Oh, that's not it. Sorry, that's not what I wanted to share. Let me go back to stop sharing. Okay. Here, can you see something that says Toolkit for Immigration and Human Rights Advocates?
Yes, a self-preservation guide.
Yes. Yes, so these toolkit we created at the very beginning, right after the elections. So we knew that things were going to get heavy, and this initially was for attorneys and social workers that were in the human rights world. But really, it became very evident that's really helpful for anybody that is really helping communities of immigrants. So I created these with a really good colleague and friend of mine. She's an immigration attorney. Her name is Elizabeth. And what we do in this toolkit is really helping people give frameworks and language and wording about what we are feeling. So we talk about grief, which is something that we don't often talk about in this context of grieving the communities that we know, grieving the spaces that we have had and that are being impacted by ICE raids and immigration enforcement. So we talk about grief, we talk about moral injury, which is a concept that talks about how do we go into these fields for helping, and often our hands may be tied either by budget cuts, funding, by systems that we cannot provide the resources. So here it gives you all sorts of, you can read it at your own pace. We have it in Spanish and English. We have a digital form, which is this one that I think is really pretty, but we also have a printing option one that has less colors. So for those folks that like to print and write on it, it's a little bit easier, so you can download either one. And then it gives you skills and ideas, some tools of how, you can get through these in the hard times, in the days that really feels like it's impossible to do this work. Most of us, I'm sure, are impacted personally too. So how do we talk about it? How do we honor the work? And how do we know when we need a break? And I always tell people, it's okay if you have the possibility and you need to take a break from the work, do it. There's no shame in it. You can always come back. But in the meantime, here are some tools for you to care about yourself, to care about your work. Often we give so much as providers and we forget to take care of ourselves. So this is just a way for us to give give back to you as a little drop, and hopefully it's helpful and you can go through them from relaxation, so to affirmations, to ways of grounding ourselves during difficult times. And again, it's all that one's on our website, but I'll send the folder as well. And with that, those are all the resources I had, but I'm open to questions if needed.
Gracias, Diana. There is a lot of love in the chat and aprecio, gratitude for all of these resources. Muchísimas gracias. We had shared the link to your resources in previous sessions, pero qué regalo to be able to do a deeper dive into what those resources are. So muchísimas gracias.
Of course, thank you so much, and I hope you all have a wonderful week.
Of course. Well, before you jump off, Diana, any questions or comments, colegas, that you all would like to flag for Diana?
And also
Thank you
feel
so
free.
much. Thank you so much for your work.
Oh, thank you. Sorry I interrupted you. Was there a question too?
I think it was just aprecio. Yes, lots of appreciation. And then there is a question, is the butterfly activity for youth from the video available as a PDF to print?
Yes, so it's available, yeah, and I have it in English, and I have two actually. One that talks about plans, know your rights, and taking care of your mental health, and then another one that is completely not related to immigration. Is just like, hey, what are some things to make your heart feel happy? So you can use it with kids that are not impacted by immigration too. So I'll put both of those, and yes, they will share. Like the folder literally has all of them together because they're giant files, so I cannot always like share them in email, but I will share the folder and you can download whatever is needed. And then also follow us on Instagram. I always, whenever we create a new resource, I uploaded it there too, just to give kind of a little bit of a alert to people. It's mostly me, so please do help us get the voice around about resources. All our resources are free, so we just wanted to get them to as many community people that need it as possible.
Yes, we love that, and we're excited to get access to the folder. And is it okay, Diana, if we share the folder with our contacts?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm always happy, if there's a larger group and there's somebody that wants a presentation on them, like I'm happy to do so. But yeah, feel free to share them.
Perfect.
All right. Bye.
Thank you. All righty. Perfect. Okay, colegas, and we will be circulating that folder. I have dropped already into the chat the resources that Corazon Norte already has highlighted on their website, but we'll be supporting with circulating that folder once we get that link. And then I have pinned to Corazon Norte's Instagram there, so you can access that. All righty. So with that, we want to do a deeper dive into some of the other resources that we have available on our website from trusted partners. Give us a second while we pull those up. And again, some of these resources have been referenced in today's session, so we won't go in depth on those details. But what we want to at least reference are some of the resources that are connected or are assets to what was shared in today's session. So with that, there's a couple of resources that we're going to do a deeper dive on. One is an immigration preparation toolkit. The other is a detailed family preparedness plan, and then a caregiver's affidavit. We won't do a deep dive into each one of these. We'll just do a mini overview. The reason is our next session in March will be focused on safety plans. So that's where we'll go over in detail what are the components to a safety plan, what are best practices to preparing those safety plans. But in today's session, we really just want to walk through our website and give you context on what resources are there so that, again, you can take what you need and leave the rest for another time. As Deanna mentioned, a lot of this information can be overwhelming, so this will really prompt us to take what we can in bite-sized pieces. The other piece that I want to highlight is resources for nonprofits. And maybe for this section, I'm going to stop sharing the presentation and share our website, because that way you can directly walk through the resources as you would see them on our website. Is that helpful for folks? That way you can visualize it from the website instead of the slides. So I will share our website and I'll share our screen so that way we can be looking at exactly what you would see when you visit our website. Perfect. Okay. So when you go to our Visión y Compromiso website, you'll see the latest and greatest exciting updates here. But then right below, you'll see on the left side of your screen our Know Your Rights button in purple. And then on the right side of the screen, you'll see our Salud Mental, our mental health button in green. So again, remember this is part of a sister training series where we have all tools, resources, recordings, and trainings available for mental health and emotional well-being. And then of course, we have all the resources related to Know Your Rights. So you can go ahead and click on this button for Know Your Rights. The first thing you see here is our Know Your Rights training series. You can send this right over. You can click on the training series, register, or to send this over to a colleague or loved one to register for the training series. Once they register, they'll get an email confirmation with a calendar link and more. So that's the first resource that we have available on our website, is an invitation to join us on our Know Your Rights training series. Then as you keep scrolling, another thing I want to draw our attention to, as you can see on the left side of our screen, we have all of our resources in Spanish. And on the right side of the screen, we have all of our resources in English. That way you can kind of see those mirrored there and engage in the language of your choice. Next resource or tool we have highlighted are recordings from the series. So there you can click onto this link, or you can click right there on the recording, or you can open YouTube where you get access to previous session recordings. And you can explore here on the right part of your screen other trainings that we have covered in our series. As I mentioned previously, these are from our 2025 training series, but give us about 2 to 3 weeks after each session. That's the time it'll take us to be able to upload the newest recording onto YouTube and onto our website. So that is the second resource or tool that we have available on our website. We go from our event series, then the recordings. Next, we see our reminder that we have all the resources that are critical and available to accompany the rest of our resources. These are focused on mental health. This just speaks to what Diana highlighted for us, that in order to engage in all of the safety plans, all of these materials, that is hard work and heart work. This is a reminder we have tools focused on mental health and emotional well-being that can accompany and guide you as you do a deeper dive into these resources. The next section that we have highlighted are some of the resources that we develop in-house. We have our Know Your Rights travel guide, the Know Before You Go. we have our safety tree, and then we also have our know and exercise your rights. And again, in English, the resources are all available on the right side of your screen. Our Know Your Rights travel guide, Know Before You Go. This is great if you're getting prepared to travel. It does an overview with 6 key steps to keep in mind as you prepare for your travel. Things like remember to memorize the phone number of a trusted loved one that will have access to your safety plan. Complete an emergency contact phone tree that your loved ones can have access to. Fill out and share a safety plan with trusted loved ones. Verify that you have valid and appropriate documents to travel, making sure things aren't expired. Double checking and confirming what documents you will need to travel and which ones are recommended for you to carry on your person. Make copies of key documents and store them in a safe place. And then, of course, conducting a personal travel risk assessment before traveling. And, of course, some helpful links on legal services and more. So that is our Know Your Rights travel guide. Next, we have one of my favorite resources, our safety tree, where you can print this out or download the fillable PDF. This is where you can write down key phone numbers. Again, always starting with your primary contact, the person that would put your phone tree in March if they needed to. But then also key phone numbers that sometimes we forget, like our supervisor, our partner, or our loved one. A legal resource, key loved ones or key trusted folks that we'd also like them to reach out to. Medical contacts, community members, and more. This safety tree is critical, not just in an immigration emergency, but it's also a great resource in case you lose or break your phone, a great resource to have on hand. Then going back to our third resource developed in-house. This, of course, is both in Spanish and in English. This goes over a Know Your Rights fundamentals, a mini summary on how to know and exercise your rights. 8 key reminders to keep in mind. And this is what our first session in January focused on. Reminders like do not open the door, verify a warrant, do not answer any questions, what documents you should or should not show, reminder to not sign anything, ask if you're free to leave, document, and communicate. So these are the 3 resources that you will find that have been developed in-house. And then here in this section, I won't go into details on these, being mindful of time here. But we will also be going into more details on safety plan templates in next week's session in March. We will focus on safety plans. But here, you already see these resources highlighted. We start with an immigration preparedness toolkit, which goes over components to have in mind. What are the documents you should begin to compile? These are the things you can do ahead of creating a safety plan. Goes over Know Your Rights fundamentals. and gives you some options so that you can build your roadmap. Gives you resources on how to find a local legal service provider, some key questions that may come up, and help you kind of guide through and think through your options. What are questions maybe I'd like to prepare for an attorney? Is there a way to adjust my immigration status? What are my options? So this is something we like to highlight, where you can also add your notes. This could be something that could accompany your safety plan, but most importantly, that gets you thinking ahead of your safety plan. What are my options? What are my pathways? What are the resources I can engage with? Help me set up something that works best in my situation. So that brings us to our safety plan section. And again, these are available in English and Spanish from trusted vetted partners like the Immigration Legal Resource Center. Then we also have, of course, links to detailed family preparedness plans. We have a couple options that we highlight here. We won't go into details of the family preparedness plans, the safety plans, but what we will highlight for you all is, especially as you're getting ready for your safety plans, we'll go over more details in next month's session. But if you are getting ready to prepare your immigration safety plans or your family safety plans, number one, I always recommend starting with our phone tree that you saw on our previous screen. But then also you can begin preparing documents. You can begin by preparing immigration documents. And again, here we have some reminders that some immigration statuses require you to carry additional proof of your status with you at all times. This could include documents such as your permanent residence card or your green card, employment authorization documents, or other documents issued by USCIS. So previously, in past administrations, we hadn't seen them enforcing this as much. But many of these immigration statuses like green card, DACA, and more require you to carry them on your person. We know many of us get worried about losing documents. And so this is where we remind you, of course, trust your gut, do what you're most comfortable with. But consider either carrying the original or a copy. And again, this is all based on the current climate of the spaces that you're in, and again, doing that own personal assessment, risk assessment. But make sure, of course, that your documents are valid, up to date, and are securely stored. Make sure you verify if these are documents that are required for you to carry the originals or copies of them, and then make that decision based on the variables that you are navigating. Of course, for specific guidance, you can always consult with an immigration attorney or a trusted legal source. And we'll go over some of those sources next. Again, speaking of preparation, prepare and gather all key documents. You can check your safety plan for a complete list. We'll do a deeper dive in our next session. But gathering things like passports, driver's license, other ID cards, birth certificates, marriage licenses, and then, of course, family records and information like school, employment, doctor's contact information, health insurance, medication list, doctor's contact information. Again, safety plans have guides for all of this. But again, if you can compile those resources now, It makes it smoother for you as you start to fill in those details all in one place. And then these are also additional great resources to keep record of and consider including as part of your safety plan or as part of those documents that you'll keep stored in a safe place. Things like financial records, banking information, again, immigration documents, keeping copies of them in a safe place, legal documents, criminal records, restraining orders, incident reports, separation or divorce documents, and then any supporting documents like proof of presence in the US with an address, evidence of risk in your home country, and letters of support. But again, these are all resources you can slowly compile, and you can also consult with low-cost or free attorneys that will share how to access some great resources in your area. Again, this just reminds us that we have great resources available. Consider consulting with an attorney. And next, we have a few places to start. What I'll do for these is I'll drop them into the chat, and again, we'll follow the same model. We'll click on some of these resources together. Give me a second while I drop these into our virtual chat. Or Diana, if you can help me by dropping these links into the chat. But here you'll see a couple of great resources. We have the National Immigration Legal Services Directory, where you can put in your zip code or you can click by state. More local you go, that is always the best strategy I suggest, because then you can find what is most active, reliable in your area. Here, not only do we see legal services, but we also see other great agencies that are doing work within your area, like Literacy Resource. We can see they offer naturalization/citizenship clinics. They help completing forms, filing with USCIS. So I highly recommend type in your zip code and start to see what resources and agencies are in your area. Northwest Immigrant Rights Project, they have Seattle office, but they also have various other offices throughout Washington State. You get a brief description on what they offer, and then of course their location, phone number, and website. So you can use this resource here through the National Immigration Legal Services Directory. But then we also have immigrationlawhelp.org, where you can search by detention facility. Or you can also do similar, put your zip code or look by state to find local resources. Another great resource that I really like to highlight are based on our rapid response networks. We talked a little bit about this in our Know Your Rights fundamentals. Rapid response networks are one of the #1 places I recommend you connect to. A rapid response network is a community and emergency system created locally to respond quickly to local immigration actions such as raids or detentions by ICE. They have volunteers and hotline operators that are trained. They receive calls confirming when ICE is seen in the community, when someone is detained. They are trained volunteers to verify and document the presence of ICE in real time. They have verification teams that go to the scenes, document, and connect to local resources in the community. They do this to support in building power, not panic. So again, verifying that the information is valid, and is it just a large accident that took place with a lot of law enforcement present, or is it an immigration action taking place? They also provide support to affected individuals and families, including legal assistance, information about rights, and accompaniment. So with that, I highlight this because in my area here in Washington State, we have the Washington Immigrant Solidarity Network. That is our local rapid response network. There's also local county-based rapid response networks, but I highlight this because if you're connected to your state or local rapid response network, you can register with them, you can follow them online, they have social media accounts, but they also have hotlines. And so at any time I can call my local Washington Immigrant Solidarity Network and get information, updates, and resources, but I also am registered, so I get text message alerts. When there have been immigration raids taking place here in my area, they have sent out alerts letting folks know that there's immigration activity that has taken place or is taking place. But they have also sent out those alerts to notify people if your loved one may have been affected, please contact us. We have an immigration office we're working with to take those cases. Or we have updates on some of the folks that were affected, meaning we have been able to locate them and can connect them with their family members. So again, these are some great places. If you're in California, you can go to the California Immigrant Policy Center or California Collaborative for Immigrant Justice, where you can access some of those local rapid response networks. Or you can go to the link below, and Diana will drop those into the chat, support hotlines, national and statewide, where you can find access and information on your local rapid response network. Other tools and resources we have available are the red cards. Again, these are very well known. They do a summary of our rights. They're available in many different languages. You can access the printable forms online, or you can also place an order online. And then we also have some available at Visión y Compromiso. You can email our colega Diana, and she can also work on sending you out some of the Know Your Rights red cards in-house. We have them available in English and Spanish, but if you need any other languages, you can, of course, access them through the link on our website and in the chat. Then I know we're running short on time. So the other resource I want to share with you all are these accessible Know Your Rights videos created by our colleagues at wehaverights.us in collaboration with various other trusted organizations. These are great informational videos. There's 5 videos. Each video is less than 4 minutes, and they're available in 7 languages. These are an accessible way to go over an immigration interaction and share best practices. What to do when ICE is outside your door or inside our homes, in our communities, in our streets, if we are arrested by ICE. So again, these are some videos that are really helpful to have in our toolbox, especially as promotores or community health workers, because it's an accessible way to go piece by piece in 4 minutes, what's happening in the interaction and what would the best practice be in that situation. So with that, colegas, I do want to stop sharing the screen because I want to give us time to also ask more questions. But again, all of these resources, including the resources that were shared today, and we'll be updating more of the resources that Diana and Paris shared earlier. But all the resources that we have gone over are available on our website. We will continue to update new resources there. But then just the reminder too that you don't have to digest or engage with all this information at once. But you have this training series where we will go piece by piece, and you already have recordings to access to from past presentations to be able to get a refresher on those key resources and components. So with that, I do also want to share a couple invitations for us to stay connected. Of course, if you have any questions regarding Know Your Rights, you want to schedule an additional training, or you have questions on any of the resources, you can always reach out to Diana or I. And then the other invitation we also want to share with you all, we know at this time when there's a lot of uncertainty in the current climate, especially targeting our communities, staying connected, finding places to build and engage with community is critical. So we invite you to our monthly cafecito. This is hosted by our national network of promotoras and community health workers. They meet every first Wednesday of the month from 9 to 10:30 Pacific Standard Time. You can register there. But there we have over 25 states represented in the national network. Well, you get to hear about the amazing and inspiring work happening in other states, but then also the challenges that are being navigated and how to best support one another, even if we are states away. We also have our Promotoras Transforming Families and Communities, our PTFC Core Promotora Training. We have a virtual series facilitated in English that is going to kick off in April. So if you or a colleague wants to do a deep dive into the PTFC core curriculum for promotoras, we invite you to consider being part of that virtual training series starting in April. All of these are highlighted on our website as well, but we can drop some links into the chat for you. Also, in partnership with Blood Cancer United, we have a training series that is kicking off in February. I think this kicks off tomorrow. So visit our website where you can find out more about the Blood Cancer United training series and consider registering. I believe this one's only offered in English, but we can double check that for you too. Or sorry, in Spanish. I believe this one's only offered in Spanish, but we can double check that. And then, of course, we are excited for our 24th annual Visión y Compromiso conference. So save the date. We would love to see you all in Palm Springs, California, enjoying some sunshine, October 14th through October 16th. So again, we encourage you to look to see where are the spaces locally where you can engage in community so that we can maintain hope, collaboration, and just those spaces that keep us nurtured as we navigate through this climate and continue to seguir luchando. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing. And I know Diana has been dropping some of the links into the chat for us too. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And then I'm also going to stop the recording. To see if there's any questions, comments.